If she's losing interest, she will do this. There's a moment, subtle, almost invisible, when something shifts. You sense it. Even if you can't name it, she's still smiling, still replying, still there, but not quite. It's like the lights are on, but the warmth is gone. You feel it in the pauses between words and the way the air seems thinner when you're with her. It's not an explosion, it's erosion, gradual. Soft, quiet, like waves pulling sand from beneath your feet, and you don't notice until you're suddenly off balance, wondering when it all began to slip. In this video, we'll break down 6 signs she's slipping away and what exactly she does when she's nearing the exit. These aren't the cliches you've heard before. These are the quiet signals, the last chance warnings that matter. These are the behaviors that don't scream, they whisper, and that's why they're so easy to miss until it's too late. 1. She replaces questions with observations. Early on, she was curious. How was your day? What did you mean by that? Tell me more about that thing you said, but now it's shifted. She comments instead. That's cool. Nice. Oh, you went to the gym again? These aren't engagement, they're acknowledgments. You might mistake them for casual replies, but they're placeholders, like she's trying to keep the illusion alive without actually investing. It's no longer a conversation. It's her just marking time until the clock runs out. If she stopped asking, she stopped imagining a future curiosity is tied to care, and when that fades, it's because mentally, emotionally, she's already walking away. Conversations lose depth, and without depth, there's no progression, no vision of tomorrow. Her silence in this area isn't neutral, it's symbolic, a quiet disengagement. That says more than words ever could. This shift from questions to statements is significant because questions are bridges. They extend across the space between two people seeking to understand, to reach, to connect, but when the questions stop, it means she's no longer trying to cross over into your world. She's watching from a distance, commenting from the sidelines, not because she doesn't know what to say, but because she no longer feels the need to know more too. She adds noise, not intimacy. You text her and she replies eventually, but now it's memes, reels, screenshots of tweets. Funny, maybe personal, never. This is her strategy. She's replacing emotional connection with digital distraction. It's like putting on a playlist when you don't want to talk during a car ride. You feel like you're still in touch, but the thread of intimacy is unraveling when she floods the chat with content. Instead of connection, she's already emotionally out the door. She's just waiting to see. If you notice, think about it, when someone wants to be known, they speak from within, not through borrowed content. When she defaults to external media, it's because the internal dialogue with you no longer feels necessary or desired. These distractions are substitutes, not supplements, and in the absence of true connection, her presence becomes a performance, and these performances are curated, safe, effortless ways of saying, I'm here, without actually being present. It's easier to forward a meme than to say, I miss you, easier to drop a link than to drop a truth, because once the emotional risk becomes too high, she retreats into these harmless interactions where nothing is asked and nothing is offered. It's camouflage, a shield against deeper engagement. 3. Her compliments get vague or recycled. Remember when she used to say things like, I love how calm you are when I'm anxious? Or you always know what to say when I'm second-guessing myself. Specific, grounded, connected. Now it's your sweet, or worse, haha, your too much compliments are now either generic or ironic, both forms of detachment. This shift is like emotional autopilot. She's still flying with you, but her hand's not on the controls anymore. If her words feel less about you and more about keeping things light, she's already checked the emergency exits. The details in a compliment matter because they reflect observation, attention, and emotional investment. When compliments lose that specificity, it's because the motivation to look deeply into who you are has faded. General praise is easy because it requires nothing. Real admiration is earned through closeness. And when that vanishes, it's not about kindness, it's about emotional absence. When someone truly sees you, they reflect that seeing back in their words. They name what makes you you. They celebrate your unique emotional blueprint. But when that interest fades, the compliments become placeholders, polite echoes of once intimate truths. She's still speaking, but she's not expressing, and that difference is everything. For she tolerates plans but never initiates. You suggest a dinner. She agrees. You ask if she wants to hang. Sure, but when was the last time she asked to see you? Real interest has a gravitational pull. When she's drawn to you, she creates opportunity. She makes space. She mentions things she wants to do with you. If she's only showing up when invited, it's not loyalty, it's obligation. And that's a ghost town waiting to happen. Her silence around planning isn't laziness, it's distance disguised as busyness. When people value you, they weave you into their life. They anticipate, they plan. They reach out, and when that rhythm stops, it's not because she has no time, it's because she's conserving energy for something or someone else. She shows up physically but not emotionally, and presence without initiative is just quiet departure in disguise. Think about how relationships thrive on reciprocity and motion. When that motion becomes one-sided, it creates imbalance. It feels like you're dragging something uphill that used to roll effortlessly downhill. With both of you pushing, if she stopped planning, stopped imagining shared moments ahead, it's because those moments no longer hold meaning for her, not with you, not in the way they once did. 5. She becomes hyper-polite. This one's sneaky, she used to tease. You interrupt you mid-sentence, laugh, in that unfiltered way that meant she wasn't performing, but now she's careful. Every text ends with an emoji. Her L's are strategic. She thanks you for things she never used to thank you for. She's switched from playful to polished. That edge of realness gone. Why? Because she's detaching, and when people pull away, they often mask it. With politeness, she's not trying to be closer. She's trying to make her exit graceful. Real connection comes with emotional risk, laughter, unpredictability, a certain roughness around the edges. When all that disappears and is replaced by politeness, it's because vulnerability is no longer present. She's managing impressions now, not sharing emotions. And when someone begins to treat you like a guest instead of a partner, they're not staying long. Politeness isn't always kindness. Sometimes it's distance dressed up as respect. It's the kind of careful language we use with strangers or acquaintances or people we're trying to protect from disappointment. It's not intimacy, it's diplomacy. And when that becomes the norm, it's a sign. The real relationship has already ended, even if the roles are still being performed. 6. She mirrors you, but not in the way you hope. Here's the final stage. You pull back a little, and suddenly she matches that energy, not because it's a game, but because she's no longer invested enough to resist the drift. She doesn't ask why your calls are less frequent. She doesn't feel the silence. She lets it happen. This isn't spite, this is indifference, a quiet echo of your own disengagement, but without any intention to fix it. If she mirrors your distance instead of challenging it, that's not a cry for help. That's goodbye in slow motion in healthy relationships. Mirroring is a sign of empathy, of connection, but in fading relationships, it's a form of surrender. It's an acceptance that there's nothing left to fight for. She becomes a reflection, not a response. And when you see her disengaging without protest, understand this. She's not hoping you'll chase her. She's just silently stepping out, hoping the silence will speak what she no longer wants to say out loud. This kind of mirroring feels passive, but it's deeply intentional. It says I'm done without saying it directly. It's resignation, a final alignment, not of love, but of emotional withdrawal. She's matching your distance because closeness no longer feels worth the effort, because whatever spark once lit, the connection has now faded to embers, and she has no desire to fan the flames back to life. And the hardest part of all is that when someone is leaving quietly, there's no scene, no closure, just a gradual unraveling that leaves you wondering whether it was ever real, but it was, it just changed. And now it's ending, not with noise, but with silence, not with a door slam, but with a door left slightly ajar, the footsteps already fading down the hallway. So what do you do when you've seen these signs, when you've noticed the drift, the silence, the politeness, the loss of spark? When the conversations feel like maintenance, when the connection feels hollow, when her presence no longer feels like a choice, but like a routine. She hasn't figured out how to end. You feel the weight of it, not all at once, but in fragments. In the way you reread old messages, wondering when they stopped sounding like her. In the way you hesitate before calling because you already know what kind of reply you're going to get. The pattern has changed, and deep down you already know why. The truth is, most goodbyes don't start with words. They start with energy, with patterns, with slow disappearances, not of the body, but of intention. And that's the hardest part to accept, because it leaves no clear moment to point to, no big fight, no final scene, just distance wrapped in small everyday choices. And maybe you've been trying to hold it together, trying to ignore the signs, hoping it's just a phase, a mood, a temporary storm. But let me be clear. When someone starts disengaging in these quiet ways, they've already had the conversation in their head. They already pictured the ending, and what you're seeing now is just the long, soft landing of a decision they don't know how to say out loud yet. This is not the time to chase, not the time to force answers, not the time to beg for connection that has already dissolved. If someone is pulling away and you have to beg them to stay, what you're really doing is asking them to pretend, and pretending is a poor foundation for love. Instead, this is the time to pause, to stop running after what's evaporating, and to sit with the reality of what it all means. Because love should not feel like a negotiation. It should not require detective work to understand how someone feels about you. Their investment should be visible, clear, alive. You should not have to decode lukewarm messages and call that care. So ask yourself this: have you been mistaking presence for commitment? Have you been holding on to memories instead of reality? Have you been carrying the weight of a connection that now only moves when you push? Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go, not out of bitterness, but out of truth. Because when someone wants to stay, they don't make you wonder. They make you feel chosen, not just remembered, and if you've seen all 6 signs, if you feel them in your gut, in the pauses, in the polite messages, in the way she no longer says your name with the same softness, then it's time to ask not what happened to her, but what's happening to you. Are you staying in something that's already left you? Are you holding the door open for someone who's already walked away? You deserve to be met, not mirrored, not tolerated, not politely replied to, but deeply seen, deeply wanted, deeply chosen. And if that's not what you're getting, then maybe it's not love anymore. Maybe it's just the shadow of what used to be love. Doesn't hide inside half-hearted effort. Love doesn't live in emotional quiet. Love speaks loudly in actions, in intention, in consistency. So if she's slipping away, let her. Don't cling to a version of her that only lives in the past. Don't bargain with silence, hoping it turns into closeness again. Let her go with grace. Because what you let go of makes room for what's meant to stay. This isn't the end of love. This is the end of confusion. And sometimes that's the beginning of peace.